The ship was older than most planets. It moved through the black space like a mountain that had learned to fly. Commander stood at the viewing window and looked at the stars. He had seen so many stars die. He had watched civilizations burn. He had counted 164 victories, and he remembered every single one. The Kel Dominion had ruled the galaxies for 12,000 years. They came from a world of eternal darkness, where their ancestors learned to survive by taking from others. Taking became their nature. Conquest became their purpose. They built ships that could bend space itself. They created weapons that could crack planets open like eggs. They made soldiers that felt no fear, no doubt, no mercy. Was 4,000 years old. He had served the Dominion since he was young, and he had risen to become fleet commander through blood and fire. His body was tall and thin, with skin like gray stone. His eyes were deep black pools that showed nothing. He had no heart in the way humans understood hearts. The Kel did not love. They did not dream. They simply existed, and they conquered. "Commander," said his second officer, a younger Kel named, "we have arrived at the target system." Turned slowly. On the great screen before him, a small yellow sun burned in the darkness. Around it, several planets moved in their ancient circles. The third planet from the sun was blue and green and white. It was beautiful in a simple way. "Earth," said. The word felt strange in his mouth. "They call it Earth." "Yes, Commander. The natives call themselves humans. They have been broadcasting signals into space for approximately 100 of their years. We intercepted their transmissions and studied their languages." Nodded. This was standard procedure. The Kel always learned about their targets before attacking. Knowledge was power. Understanding your enemy made defeating them easier. "What do we know about them?" asked. Pulled up data on the screen. Images of humans appeared. They were small creatures, soft and fragile-looking. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, and faces that showed every emotion they felt. They laughed. They cried. They fought with each other constantly. "They are primitive," said. "They have nuclear weapons but no space travel beyond their own moon. They have computers but nothing close to our neural networks. They fight wars among themselves over resources, beliefs, and territory. They are divided into many nations that do not trust each other." "How many of them are there?" "Approximately 8 billion. Made a sound that might have been a laugh. 8 billion. The last civilization they conquered had 50 billion, and they fell in 3 days. These humans would fall in hours." "They will be easy," said confidently. "They always are," replied, but something in his ancient mind stirred. A feeling he could not name. He pushed it away. "Prepare the fleet. We will give them the standard offer: surrender or die." Far away, on the blue and green planet called Earth, a man named Park Ho sat alone in an observatory. The observatory was quiet at night. Most of the other scientists had gone home to their families, but Ho loved the night sky too much to leave. He had been an astronomer for 20 years, and every night still felt like a gift. He was looking at Jupiter through his instruments when he saw something impossible. At first he thought it was a mistake, a glitch in the equipment. He checked the readings 3 times, then he checked them again. His hands began to shake. "No," he whispered, "this cannot be real." But it was real. Near Jupiter, space itself was folding. It was like watching paper being crumpled by an invisible hand. And from that folded space, ships were coming. Thousands of ships. They were enormous, bigger than anything humans had ever built. They blocked out the stars as they emerged. Ho grabbed his phone and called his colleague, Hana. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice sleepy. "Ho, it is 2 in the morning. What is wrong?" "Hana, come to the observatory now. Something is happening near Jupiter. Something impossible." Hana arrived 30 minutes later. She was a brilliant astrophysicist, known for her calm nature and sharp mind. But when she looked at the data, her face went pale. "This is not possible," she said. "Space does not work this way, unless—" "Unless what?" "Unless someone has technology. we cannot even imagine. They watched together as more ships emerged. The fleet spread out like a dark cloud. It began moving toward the inner planets, toward Earth. Ho made the call that would change human history. He contacted the Korean Aerospace Research Institute. They contacted the government. The government contacted other governments. Within 3 hours, every major nation on Earth knew the truth. They were not alone in the universe, and the visitors were not coming in peace. In military bases around the world, alarms began to sound. Generals who had trained for wars against other humans now faced something from their nightmares. They had no protocols for this. They had no weapons designed for alien invaders. They had nothing but their courage and their will to survive. General Sung-ho received the news in his office in Seoul. He was 60 years old, a veteran of many difficult situations, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. His hands were steady as he read the reports, but inside his heart was racing. His daughter, Lieutenant Bai, called him from her air base. "Father, is it true? Are they really coming?" "Yes," he said, "it is true." "What do we do?" Looked out his window at the night sky. Somewhere up there, death was coming for all of them. He thought about his daughter, about his country, about every human being on the planet. They were all in this together now. "We fight," he said. "We do what humans have always done, we fight." Watched Earth grow larger on his screen. He had given this order 164 times before. It never got boring. The moment before conquest was always sweet. "Send the message," he commanded. The Kell broadcast went out to every device on Earth. Every phone, every television, every computer screen showed the same thing. A tall gray figure with black eyes, speaking in a voice that had no warmth. "People of Earth, we are the Kell Dominion. We have conquered 164 civilizations before you. We have never been defeated. You have 72 hours to surrender. Give us your resources. Submit to genetic, accept your place in the Dominion. If you refuse, we will destroy you completely. There will be no negotiation. There will be no mercy. Choose wisely." The message ended. Earth was silent. Then slowly the humans began to respond. Not with fear, not with begging, but with something had never seen before. They began to prepare. And deep in his ancient mind, that strange feeling stirred again. For the first time in 4,000 years, Commander wondered if he was making a mistake. The world did not sleep that night. In every country, in every city, in every home, people watched the alien message play again and again. Some cried, some prayed, some held their families close and whispered words of love, but nobody gave up. Something in the human spirit refused to surrender. General Sung-ho stood in the United Nations emergency chamber. Leaders from every nation had gathered, some in person and some through video screens. They were enemies yesterday. Today, they were allies. The alien threat had done something that humans could never do alone. It had united them. "We have 72 hours, said. "That is not much time, but it is enough to prepare." "Prepare for what?" asked an American general. "You saw those ships. They are the size of cities. Our weapons will be like throwing rocks at a mountain." "Then we throw rocks," replied. "We throw every rock we have. And while we throw rocks, we learn, we adapt. We find their weakness. Every enemy has a weakness." A Russian commander spoke up. "How do you know they have a weakness?" "They said they conquered 164 civilizations. That is a lot of victories." "And this will be their first defeat," said firmly, "because they have never fought humans before." The room fell silent. Nobody laughed. Nobody argued. They had all seen the same thing in their people's eyes, not just fear, something else, something stronger. Determination. In Park Ho and Hana worked without rest. They studied the alien ships with every instrument they had. They recorded data, analyzed patterns, and looked for anything that could help. "Their ships use some kind of energy we have never seen," Hana said. "It bends space around them. That is how they travel so fast. Can we copy it? Ho asked. In 72 hours. Impossible, but maybe we can interfere with it. Every energy has a frequency. If we can find their frequency, maybe we can disrupt it. They sent their findings to scientists around the world. For the first time in history, every scientific mind on Earth worked together on the same problem. Borders meant nothing now. Old fights were forgotten. Humanity faced extinction, and that made everything else seem small. In a small laboratory, neuroscientist Wu Jin noticed something strange. He was not studying the aliens. He was studying human brains. But since the alien fleet arrived, his data had gone crazy. People everywhere were having the same dreams. Wu Jin called his colleague, Dr. Shin Na, a quantum physicist known for her interest in unusual phenomena. She came to his lab immediately. "Look at this," Wu Jin said, showing her the data. "Since the fleet arrived, I have received thousands of reports from sleep clinics around the world. People are dreaming the same thing: darkness, cold, and a feeling of being watched." Na studied the data carefully. "That is impossible. Dreams are personal. They come from individual minds." "I know, but it is happening. Something about those aliens is affecting human consciousness. I do not understand how or why." Na was quiet for a long moment. "Maybe," she said slowly, "humans are more connected than we knew. Maybe there is something in us that links us together, and maybe the aliens touched that connection when they arrived." "What does that mean for us?" "I do not know yet, but I intend to find out." Lieutenant Bai climbed into her fighter jet for the reconnaissance mission. She was 28 years old, one of the best pilots in the Korean Air Force. She had trained her whole life for combat, but nothing had prepared her for flying toward alien ships from another galaxy. Her squadron leader spoke through the radio. "Remember, we are not attacking. We are observing. Get as close as you can, gather data, and return." "Understood," Bai replied, but she knew the truth. They might not return at all. The jets flew higher and higher, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. The alien fleet hung in space like a dark cloud, blocking the stars. Up close, the ships were even more terrifying. They were not smooth or elegant. They looked like weapons, brutal and efficient, built only for destruction. Bai's instruments recorded everything: ship sizes, energy readings, movement patterns. She flew closer than anyone else dared, her heart pounding in her chest. Then she saw something that made her stop breathing. On the surface of the largest ship, a window glowed with pale light, and in that window a figure stood watching, tall, gray, with eyes like black holes. For one frozen moment, Bai and Commander looked at each other across the void of space. She expected to feel terror. She expected to feel small and helpless, but instead she felt something else entirely: anger. These creatures had come to take her home, to kill her people, to destroy everything she loved, and they expected her to be afraid. Bai smiled grimly and turned her jet around. She had work to do. Commander watched the small human aircraft fly away. He had expected it to flee in panic. Instead, it had approached with curiosity and left with purpose. The pilot had looked at him not with fear but with defiance. "Strange," he murmured. Commander asked. "The humans, they are strange. Previous species would be burning their cities by now, fighting each other for the last resources. But look at Earth." On the screens they could see the planet below. There was no chaos, no mass destruction. Instead, there was movement, organization, preparation. "They are uniting," said surprised. "Yes, I have never seen this before. Usually our arrival breaks civilizations apart. It makes them turn on each other. But these humans, they are coming together." "Does it matter? They cannot stop us." Nodded slowly. "No, they cannot stop us, but they interest me. I want to understand them before we destroy them." The 72 hours passed quickly. Humans worked without sleep. Factories ran day and night, building weapons and defenses. Scientists shared discoveries instantly. Soldiers trained together, old enemies standing side by side. Odong, an engineer in Seoul, led a team working on weapon modifications. Hana's research about alien frequencies had given them an idea. If they could tune their missiles to the right frequency, maybe they could penetrate the alien shields. It is just a theory, Dong told his team. We have no way to test it before the battle. Then we test it in battle, one of his engineers replied. It is better than nothing. They worked until their hands bled, modifying every weapon they could reach. They had no guarantee it would work. They had only hope. When the 72 hours ended, Commander expected a surrender message. He expected begging. He expected fear. Instead, he received a reply from General Sung Ho, speaking for all of humanity. To the Kel Dominion, we have received your terms, we reject them. Earth is our home, we will not surrender it, we will not submit. You say you have never been defeated, we say you have never fought us. Come and try to take our world. You will learn what humans are made of. Stared at the message in disbelief. No civilization had ever refused him. Not one. In 12,000 years of conquest, every species had eventually broken, had begged for mercy. But these humans, these tiny, fragile creatures on their tiny blue planet, they were telling him no. For a moment, just a moment, felt something he had not felt in 4,000 years. Respect. Then he pushed the feeling away and gave the order to attack. Destroy them all, he said, leave nothing behind. The Kel fleet moved forward. The battle for Earth had begun, and somewhere deep in space, something ancient and unknown watched with great interest. Because for the first time in millions of years, a species was about to do the impossible. Humans were about to fight back. The sky turned to fire. Across the world, humans looked up and saw streaks of light falling from space. Some were missiles, some were ships, some were debris from the battle raging in orbit. The war for Earth had begun, and it was more terrible than anyone had imagined. General Sung Ho stood in the command center, watching screens that showed death and destruction everywhere. Human jets flew against alien fighters. Missiles raced toward enormous ships, and one by one, human pilots died. We are losing, one of his officers said. Our weapons barely scratch their shields. We have lost 40% of our pilots in the first hour. Closed his eyes for a moment. 40%. Good men and women, fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, gone in an hour. Keep fighting, he said. Every minute we hold them back is a minute our scientists have to find a solution. Lieutenant Bai flew through chaos. Enemy fire filled the space around her. She watched her squadron members explode. Their jets turned to burning metal in seconds. The alien weapons were fast and accurate. Human technology could not match them. But humans had something the aliens did not expect. They learned. Squadron 7, adjust angle of approach, Bai called through her radio. Come from below. Their weapons track slower on vertical targets. It was a small thing, but it worked. Her surviving pilots followed her lead and their survival rate improved. Other squadrons heard and the tactic. Within minutes, the entire human force had adapted. This was something the Kel had never seen. Previous civilizations fought with set strategies. When those strategies failed, they fell apart. But humans changed tactics in real time. They communicated constantly, sharing what worked and what did not. Each death taught the survivors something new. Commander watched from his flagship with growing confusion. The humans were still dying. They were still losing, but they were not breaking. Every time he thought the battle was won, they found new ways to fight. This is not normal, he said. Commander asked. 164 civilizations. I remember them all. By this point in battle, they were always in chaos, running, screaming, destroying themselves in panic, but these humans. On the screen, a human jet that had lost its weapons flew directly into an alien fighter, destroying both. The pilot had chosen to die to take an enemy with them. "They do not fear death," said slowly. "They know they cannot win. They know they are dying, but they fight anyway. Why?" Had no answer. On the ground, the situation was even stranger. Kel soldiers landed in major cities around the world. They were tall and strong, covered in armor that could stop any bullet. They carried weapons that turned buildings to dust. They expected quick victory. Instead, they found resistance everywhere. In Seoul, an old man threw himself at a Kel soldier with nothing but a kitchen knife. He died instantly. But before he died, he slowed the soldier down long enough for a child to escape. In New York, office workers built barricades from desks and chairs. They had no training. They had no weapons. But they refused to let the enemy pass without a fight. In Moscow, a grandmother drove her car into a group of Kel soldiers, giving her neighbors time to hide. The Kel soldiers began reporting problems. Their neural links, the technology that connected their minds to their commanders, started to glitch. Some soldiers froze in the middle of combat. Others became confused, lost, unable to follow orders. A few simply stopped moving and stood like statues. "What is happening?" asked. "Unknown," a Kel technician replied. "Our neural networks are experiencing interference. The source is unclear." Deep in the laboratory, Wu Jin finally understood. He called Dr. Shin Na with shaking hands. "I know what is happening. The dreams, the shared dreams, they are real. Human consciousness is connected. We are all linked together in ways we never knew." "What does that mean?" "It means when humans feel strongly, that feeling spreads. Right now, 8 billion people are feeling the same thing. Fear, anger, hope, love for their families, determination to survive. That wave of emotion, it is massive. And the Kel, with their neural technology, are plugged into it." Na understood immediately. Their neural links are picking up human thoughts. Yes, and they cannot handle it. The Kel evolved without emotions. They do not dream. They do not feel. When they connected to Earth, they accidentally connected to human consciousness, and it is overwhelming them. Na's mind raced. If passive human emotion can do this, what would happen if we focused it, if we directed it? "I do not know, but I think we should find out." Engineer Oh Dong got the call about the alien frequency weakness just as the first Kel soldiers reached his factory. He had minutes to live, maybe less. But instead of running, he stayed at his computer, sending the final calculations to military bases around the world. "The shields operate at 17.4 kilohertz, he typed frantically. "Modify warhead frequencies to match. It should create resonance." Kel soldiers broke through the factory door. Dong hit send and turned to face them. He died with a smile on his face, because he knew his work would save millions. The modified weapons reached the front lines within hours. Missiles adjusted to the new frequency hit Kel shields, and for the first time, the shields cracked. The first Kel ship fell to human weapons. It was a small ship, a fighter, but when it exploded, humans everywhere cheered. The enemy could be hurt. The enemy could be killed. Commander received the news with cold fury. "How is this possible? They had no technology to penetrate our shields." "They learned," said quietly. "They studied us. They adapted in less than a day." "Impossible." And yet it happened. Lieutenant Bai led a desperate mission into a crashed Kel landing ship. The ship had gone down in the mountains outside Seoul, and intelligence believed it might contain valuable technology. Her team fought through debris and wounded aliens to reach the control room. What she found there changed everything. Kel soldiers sat frozen in their chairs. Their eyes were open but empty. Tears, actual tears, streamed down their gray faces. They were not dead. They were not sleeping. They were experiencing something. Bai looked at the ship's screens. They showed not battle data or maps. They showed human memories. A mother holding her baby, children playing in a park, old friends laughing together, lovers saying goodbye. The Kel were experiencing human feelings for the first time. "What is this?" one of her soldiers asked. "I do not know," Bai said, "but I think we are hurting them, not with weapons, with who we are." She reported her findings to command. Within hours, Dr. Na had the information. "They cannot process human emotion," she said. "They have no framework for it. Love, grief, joy, hope. These things are poison to them, and we have billions of people feeling these things right now." "Can we use this?" General asked. "Maybe. We need more time to study it. But yes, I think human consciousness itself might be a weapon." In orbit, the battle continued. More humans died, more ships fell, but the Kel were not winning as easily as they expected. Something was wrong with their soldiers, something was wrong with their systems. And Commander felt that strange feeling again, not fear exactly, something deeper. He had conquered 164 civilizations. He had never lost. But for the first time in his long life, he wondered if he might. The war had entered its third day, and something impossible was happening. The Kel, the undefeated conquerors of 164 civilizations, were falling apart. Not from human weapons, not from military tactics, they were falling apart from the inside. Wu Jin worked without sleep in his laboratory. The data coming in from around the world was incredible. Kel soldiers were surrendering, not because they were defeated in battle, but because they could no longer fight. They sat on the ground and stared at nothing. Some wept, some laughed, some tried to speak words they had never learned. "It is the dreams," Wu Jin explained to the emergency council. "When humans sleep, our minds connect. We share a collective unconscious. It is a web of thoughts and memories and emotions that covers the entire planet. We never knew it was there because we grew up inside it." "And the Kel plugged into it," Dr. Na added. "Their neural technology is designed to link minds together. When they came to Earth, they accidentally linked to us, all of us." General leaned forward. "So they are experiencing human dreams." "Not just dreams," Wu Jin said. "Everything, every human memory, every emotion, every story we have ever told ourselves. The Kel evolved in darkness alone. They never developed imagination. They never learned to dream. They never felt love or grief or hope. And now they are drowning in it." The implications were staggering. Humanity's greatest weakness, its emotional nature, had become a weapon. The very things the Kel considered primitive were destroying them. Commander stood alone in his chamber, trembling. He had not trembled in 4,000 years. His neural link, the connection to his fleet and his soldiers, had become a doorway to madness. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw human memories. A young girl learning to ride a bicycle, her father running beside her, hands ready to catch her if she fell. The joy on her face when she realized she was doing it alone. The pride in her father's eyes. Did not understand these images. He had no word for father. The Kel did not have families. They were grown in tanks, raised by machines, trained only to conquer. The concept of a parent loving a child was foreign to him. But he felt it anyway. The warmth, the connection, the fierce protective love. It hurt more than any weapon ever had. "Commander," said, entering the chamber. His movements were slow and uncertain. He too was affected. "The soldiers on the ground are compromised. 70% have stopped responding to commands." "What are they doing?" "They are sitting, watching humans. Some are trying to communicate. They want to understand what they are feeling." Grip the edge of his console. Order a full retreat. Pull all ground forces back to the ships. "Commander." "Do it. These humans have done something to us. I do not know what, but I will not lose my fleet to it. We will withdraw to orbit and destroy them from space. Their consciousness cannot reach us there." But even as he gave the order, knew it might not be true. The connection was already made. The damage was already done. 12,000 years of emotional emptiness were being filled all at once, and it was tearing the Kel apart. On Earth, humans began to realize their power. General coordinated a new kind of attack. Instead of weapons, he broadcast signals, music, stories, images of human life. The Kel communication channels flooded with human culture. Played on alien frequencies. Children's laughter echoed through Kel neural networks. Love letters, poems, wedding photographs, baby pictures. Everything that made humans human was sent directly into enemy minds. The effect was immediate. Kel ships began to malfunction. Pilots who had never hesitated now paused at critical moments. Gunners who had destroyed planets without thought now questioned their orders. The perfect war machine was breaking down. Dr. Null watched the data with wonder and horror. They are becoming something new, she said. The Kel soldiers who experience the most human contact. They are changing. Their brain patterns are shifting. They are developing emotion. Is that good or bad? Wujin asked. I do not know. For us may be good, for them. Imagine suddenly feeling 12,000 years of guilt. Every civilization they destroyed, every life they ended, they are feeling all of it now. Lieutenant Bai led another mission into enemy territory. This time, she went alone, not to fight but to talk. She found a group of Kel soldiers hiding in a destroyed building. They looked at her with eyes that had changed, not the empty black pools from before. These eyes held something new. Pain, confusion, fear. One of them spoke. Its voice was rough, unused to forming words. Why do you do this? Do what? Bai asked. Fight, die, sacrifice. We have seen your memories. Your people throw themselves into death to save strangers. You love those who hurt you. You hope when there is no reason to hope. Why? Bai thought about the question carefully. She thought about her father, fighting to protect people he would never meet. She thought about the old man with the kitchen knife, the grandmother with the car. She thought about every human who had died in the past 3 days, refusing to give up. Because that is what it means to be human, she said. We are small, we are weak, our lives are short, but we have something you do not have. We have each other, we love, we dream, we hope, and that makes us stronger than you can imagine. The Kel soldier stared at her. Then it did something no Kel had ever done before. It knelt. We cannot fight this, it said. We cannot fight you, what you are. It is too powerful. Bai reached out and touched the soldier's shoulder. The creature flinched but did not pull away. Then stop fighting. Put down your weapons. Help us stop this war. We do not know how. You could start by telling us about your commander. Tell us how to reach him. Tell us how to end this. The soldiers looked at each other. Then they began to talk. Commander received reports of mass surrender. Soldiers abandoning their posts. Ships refusing orders. His perfect fleet was dissolving before his eyes. He made a decision, born of desperation. Prepare for planetary bombardment, he commanded. All ships, full power, we will sterilize the planet. Commander said slowly, if we do this, billions will die, and we will destroy everything they are, everything we have felt. That is the point. Hesitated. In 12,000 years, no Kel had ever questioned an order, but had dreamed now. He had felt love. He had experienced hope. He was no longer the same creature who had arrived at Earth. No, he said. Turned slowly. What did you say? I said no, I will not do this. We cannot do this. These beings, they have shown us what we were missing, what we have been empty of for our entire existence. We cannot destroy them. They are the enemy. No, they are salvation. I did not know what that word meant until now, but I understand it. They can save us. They can teach us to dream. Struck, knocking him to the floor, but other officers moved forward. They had the same look in their eyes. They had all been touched by human consciousness. They had all changed. Commander, one said softly, the fleet will not follow this order. We cannot. We are not what we were. looked around at his officers, at his fleet, at everything he had built over 4,000 years, and he understood that it was over. The Kel Dominion, undefeated for 12,000 years, had finally met an enemy it could not conquer. Not because humans were stronger, not because humans were smarter, but because humans were human, and that was something the Kel had no defense against. In orbit, the bombardment ships powered down. On the ground, Kel soldiers laid down their weapons, and across Earth, humans looked up at the sky and dared to hope that the war might be ending. But it was not over yet. Dr. Na had one more idea, one final gambit that would change everything. And this time, it would require every human on Earth to work together in a way they never had before. The mutiny had failed. Commander stood over his body. His second officer was not dead, but he would never command again. Around the bridge, loyal soldiers stood guard over the officers who had tried to stop the bombardment. They were few, but they were enough. Some of our people have been corrupted by human influence, announced to the remaining fleet. But we are the Kel Dominion. We do not bend, we do not break, we do not surrender. He turned to the weapons console. I will trigger the bombardment myself. Prepare the gravity cannons. The weapons powered up. These were planet killers, designed to crack worlds open like eggs. One strike would end human civilization forever. The blue and green planet would become another dead rock floating in space, another number in the Dominion's long list of victories. On Earth, alarms screamed in every command center. They are charging weapons, General said. His voice was steady but his hands shook. Estimated time to firing, 4 hours. Dr. Nuss stood before the emergency council. She had not slept in 4 days. Her eyes were red and her voice was hoarse, but her mind was clear. I have a plan, she said. It is theoretical, it is untested, it might not work, but it is our only chance. Tell us, said. Human consciousness is connected. We have proven this. When we feel strongly together, it creates a wave of psychic energy. This wave has been disrupting Kel technology passively without our control. But what if we focused it? What if we directed it? Wu Jin stepped forward. Na believes that if every human on Earth concentrates at the same moment, focusing on the same thing, we could generate a wave of consciousness powerful enough to completely overwhelm Kel systems. What would we focus on? A council member asked. Memory, Na said. Love, connection, everything that makes us human. We ask every person on Earth to stop what they are doing, close their eyes and remember. Remember their loved ones, remember home, remember what it means to be human. 7 billion people asked all at once. Yes, it has never been done before, but we have never faced extinction before either. The plan spread across the world faster than any message in history. Every phone, every television, every radio carried the same instructions. At exactly 3:47 a.m. UTC, every human being would participate in the largest collective act of consciousness ever attempted. Not everyone believed it would work. Scientists argued, politicians doubted, generals wanted to keep fighting with weapons, but there was no other option. The weapons had failed. The shields had failed. Human technology could not stop the bombardment. Only human consciousness could. The hours passed slowly. People gathered with their families. Soldiers stopped fighting and held hands. Strangers embraced on the streets. Old enemies looked at each other and saw not rivals but fellow humans facing the end together. Park Ho stood in his observatory with Hana. They had started this journey together, seeing the first ships emerge from folded space. Now they would face the end together. Do you think it will work? Ho asked. Hana took his hand. I do not know, but I know this. Whatever happens, we did not give up. We stayed human until the end. Lieutenant Bai stood with her father. General had left the command center to be with his daughter. If the world was ending, he wanted to spend his last moments with family. I am proud of you, he said. Everything you have done, everything you are. Bai hugged him. I learned it from you. Wu Jin and Dr. Nuss sat together in the laboratory. They had done everything they could. Now they could only hope. If this does not work, Wu Jin said, thank you for believing in this crazy idea. Nuss smiled. It was your idea first. You saw the connection. You understood what we are. What are we? We are dreamers. That is our power. That is our gift. The clock ticked toward 3:47 a.m. In cities around the world, lights went dark. Voices went quiet. The entire planet held its breath. 7 billion minds prepared to focus as one. Commander watched the planet from his bridge. The bombardment would begin in minutes. Earth would burn, and the strange feelings in his mind would burn with it. He would be empty again. He would be Kel again. But part of him, a small part that had grown over the past days, did not want the feelings to end. 3:47 a.m. Every human closed their eyes. They remembered. A father lifting his daughter onto his shoulders so she could see the parade. A mother singing her child to sleep. First love, first heartbreak, wedding days and funerals, birthday candles and hospital rooms, every moment of joy, every moment of pain, every connection between human hearts. The wave began. It started small, like ripples in a pond, but ripples became waves. Waves became a flood. 7 billion minds focused on love and memory, and the energy they generated was beyond measurement. It hit the Kel fleet like a tsunami. Commander screamed. He had never screamed before. The neural link exploded with human experience. Not just emotions now, but the full depth of human existence. Millions of lifetimes, billions of memories, an ocean of feeling that the Kel mind was never designed to contain. Around him, his officers collapsed. Throughout the fleet, soldiers fell. The ships themselves began to react strangely. Their systems, designed for emotionless efficiency, could not process the input flooding through them. And then something truly impossible happened. The ships began to shimmer, like heat waves rising from hot pavement, like mirages in a desert. They flickered in and out of reality. What is happening? Gasped, struggling to stand. I do not know, said, but he did know. Deep inside, where the human memories had planted seeds of understanding, he knew. The Kel bent space to travel between stars. Their technology folded reality like paper, but consciousness was part of reality too. Human consciousness, focused and powerful, was folding space in ways Kel technology never could. The ships were being pushed out of normal space, not destroyed, not damaged, simply removed. Commander, a technician said, his voice full of wonder and terror. We are phase shifting. The human consciousness wave is pushing us into subspace. We cannot stop it. Looked at the screens. Ship after ship was vanishing, folding in on themselves and winking out of existence like stars at dawn. The fleet that had conquered 164 civilizations was being erased from reality. And he understood something else. This was not death. This was transformation. The human consciousness wave was not just pushing them away. It was changing them, remaking them, taking empty Kel minds and filling them with something new. Grabbed his arm. Commander, what do we do? Looked at his second officer, at his fleet, at the beautiful blue planet spinning below, and for the first time in 4,000 years he felt at peace. We accept, he said, we accept what they offer. The flagship began to shimmer, walked to the main screen and activated a broadcast. He appeared on every screen on Earth, his gray face flickering with energy. Humans, he said, we came to conquer you. We came to take everything you have, but you have given us something instead. Something we did not know we needed. You have given us dreams. His form began to blur, dissolving into light. We cannot stay in your reality now. Your consciousness has changed us too much. We must go somewhere else, become something else. But we leave you with this truth. In all the universe, there is nothing more powerful than what you are. You dream. Therefore, you are free. He smiled, the first smile a Kel had ever smiled. Thank you. And then he was gone. Across the sky, the last Kel ships vanished. One moment they were there, a dark cloud blocking the stars. The next moment, empty space, as if they had never existed at all. On Earth, 7 billion people opened their eyes. The sky was clear, the stars shone bright, the enemy was gone. For a long moment, the world was silent. Then the cheering began. It started small, in living rooms and shelters and trenches. Then it spread, growing louder and louder until the entire planet was celebrating. People who had been strangers hugged each other. People who had been enemies shook hands. The impossible had happened. Humanity had won. Not with weapons, not with technology, but with the very thing that made them human. They had dreamed their way to victory. And the universe would never be the same.